Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I hope you have so far a great conference. I will present myself in few slides. Of course, there will be some few slides, and then we will go quite deeply hands-on. So for the ones that don't have a computer, you will follow the theory. Hopefully you will try it at home afterwards. But yeah, so the goal of a workshop, we had this discussion. So we will be two presenting, and we were discussing like, okay, is it like hands-on or not hands-on, right? So we never know really how to provide like a good workshop in a small amount of time. So there will be some theory. We will go through the hands-on, but we kind of will fly through it. So if you have questions, we will stop, but otherwise we will not really stop for you to do it, if that's okay. All right. So the workshop is Civo CLI workshop. That was the initial name. Since then, it has changed to CLI, ClickOps, and infrastructure as code. For the ones who have been following through the workshops and some talks, there was already some discussions about infrastructure as code. You might have seen some examples. What we will go through today is really like basics, kind of 101, but really go through it, and so you can feel the difference and you can see the difference between the ClickOps, the CLI, and then finally infrastructure as code. We will be presenting ourselves, who we are. We will just make a small, I mean, that's the second day. After this one, there's lunch. After that, there's the final afternoon. So let's take time to relax a little bit, to think a bit, and please ask questions really at any time. We are here more to like think all together. Then, as you can see, like there will be then the workshop of ClickOps and then the workshop of infrastructure as code. Okay, the colors are different because the second person, my friend Engin here, will be talking to you for the infrastructure as code. I will take part of the first one, and then yeah, the agenda, it's okay. It's just more for the video than for you here. So I will start. So who am I? I'm Nuno do Carmo. I'm a Portuguese living out in Switzerland. My work life is mostly balanced, thanks to Mark that made this. I'm not Gen Z, but I look out for my work-life balance. I'm a community member on Cloud Native mainly. So I'm a Civo ambassador. So yesterday I had the hoodie. I'm a CNCF ambassador, and I'm a Microsoft MVP. And you don't know yet, but for the ones who ask questions, you might win some Swiss chocolates. I have some with me. So see, now the interest just went up. Like it's magic. Okay, so about me, like really in 4 words, is like I work at SUSE. I'm a tech writer on the CNCF projects mainly. I'm married, freshly married actually, since September only, and thank you. And I have 2 step kids that are big, so they are 20 plus. Don't I'm older than I look, I know. And I have 4 cats. Okay, my wife has 4 cats, and I'm there too. The links are where you can find me, but if you really want to interact with me, I strongly suggest Twitter. I will not call it the single letter, but I'll be in Twitter. Engin?
Oh, sorry.
Just now.
So yeah, hey, welcome. My name is Engin, and I'm working at Pulumi as a customer experience architect. And I'm here to help Nuno out and show you one way of infrastructure as code, what he shows with the CLI approach with infrastructure as code. So very excited about this. And yeah, there's also my socials down there if you are happy to look at this, even GitHub, so you can see all my codes and all my projects I started and never finished. So thanks.
Okay. So before we start really, can you just close the door, please? Sorry. I know our talk is really interesting for the rest of the others. So I hope that we will clap at the end and the others are jealous. Anyway, so before we go through the workshop, I'll just have to take a step back. Like, how did you enjoy so far Civo Navigate? Who is the first time here? Like everyone? Almost? Okay. How did you enjoy it? Like, did you had the chance to see or even speak with Solomon Ikes? No? Okay. Good luck today. He's still here. With Matt Butcher for the Fermion, the WASM part? No? Okay. I strongly suggest you to go speak with him also. And the rest of the teams out there, the bosses, take time and talk with them. Sometimes you are maybe surprised how accessible these persons are, actually, and motivated. Sessions. Who did the workshop already? Cool. So you don't have any base to know if it's good or bad because there's no comparison. This will be the best workshop you will do. Who did the keynotes? Both of them? Okay. So you lazy people will not get chocolate. The others, you are okay already. And okay, so and you got your swag. That's okay. Kind of. All right. Okay. I strongly suggest you to get some swag. It's always there's always these plushies or stickers are nice, but t-shirts are better, right? All right. So let's actually really jump ahead directly. So like I said, we had this discussion about like what a workshop should be. Is it hands-on? Is it theory? We prefer to mix the both, but the theory will be on screen actually. So we will be doing what I will show you through ClickOps, and then Engin will be showing you like the Pulumi side of it. Okay, but before we start, as you can see, there's 4 steps that we will reproduce also during the infrastructure as code part. And sorry. And the important part is like I kept the titles. You can kind of most likely guess what's coming next. But the important part was really like to feel from zero how to get started with Civo in this case. Okay, it might be the same, most likely almost will be the same with other providers. We are at Civo Navigate, so that's normal that we go for Civo, but all these steps that you have to go through will actually show you how, okay, when you are at home or you are a student and learning, that's okay. ClickOps is not bad. It's just like when you arrive at the work and then you have to perform, then ClickOps might be not the best solution, right? So we want to see these differences so you can really like see how or why we actually invented these CLIs, these APIs requests, and more recently in terms of information, but IT, but the infrastructure as code. Okay, so the first one that we will jump into is how to get started. So first question again, who has a Civo account? Okay, that is not working for Civo, Chad. All right, so the others, like you can do it if you want now, but like we recommend you is like go to the website, register. You will have a credit of $250 for 3 months. So now that's important. It's not 250 and that's okay. No, it's for 3 months. It's really for you to test. Is it okay for you to have it at work maybe, or having it like as your current module or future module for whatever your applications or your OSS project. Okay, so that's really nice of Civo already. Others might give some free stuff like Azure maybe or AWS. I think they have a free tier, but you know that you will reach very fast the limitations and then suddenly you have to pay, right? So that's the surprises that Mark actually was speaking about. Here is $250 for everything. Okay. So once you created a Civo account, which I have also, you might want to download the CLI also. So that's this first workshop part. There's a dual thing. There's ClickOps and CLI. Okay. So I thought about like, should I go through the CLI or not installation? Well, yes and no. So I will show you something. So I work for SUSE, right? So you cannot see it here, but I'm a pro Microsoft working for a Linux company. So like the persona, yeah, like wrong casting. No, not wrong casting. Actually, we are open. As open as we need some tools to bring Microsoft people to our side, right? So now there's a concept in the Linux world. So all that to say, like there's a concept of Linux world most recently that is this non-intrusive alternative or immutable, also immutable OSs. It means that you won't change your OS by installing stuff inside, but instead you will use containerized applications because we are in a cloud native space, right? But you will install cloud containerized applications and use them. I'm coming from Windows. That's nice, that's sweet, but what does it mean running containerized applications? How I do it? What are the examples? And after a few time, I found that CLIs are the perfect example. So here, what I will show you is that we will run. Okay, do you prefer PowerShell or Bash, first of all? Bash, okay. Okay. I'm still okay with the casting, so let me do something like this here. All right. So I can run Civo like this, okay? I have a CLI. But now, what if I tell you that I never installed Civo? That what Civo is actually an alias that is running Docker with some mount points. Okay, I won't enter too much into like the what the command line is, but I don't need to install Civo. I don't care about the package manager. I don't care about, is it ARM? Is it x64, sorry. Okay, I don't care about that because the container parts or the modern containers, they already have this platform knowledge, the multi-arc, right, of containers. So here, if you look at it, what I'm doing is that every single time that I'm running Civo, what I'm doing is like I'm running the container from the image that I pulled. Okay, so the first time it will be long, but the second time you saw, right? Look, could you tell that is something that it's not local, not binary through the speeds? Normally not, right? Because again, the image is cached and then you can just run it. Now, once you have that, you can actually really use, so I will just do a region for now, but you can really use the app. So on Bash, you just have to create an alias and you can put it on your Bash RC or ZSH will be the same, okay? Okay, is there someone at least that is interested in PowerShell here? Oh, thank you. Okay, so I do have an excuse to show PowerShell. So PowerShell will be just a little bit different, and this one will be a function, okay? So for the ones that are running PowerShell, you need to add the args at the end. So the Bash is a bit more intelligent, is that it knows that at the end, you're just running this command, and at the end, if you have arguments, it will like import them. If you don't add the @args table, then PowerShell will not do anything. But thank you. Okay, no more PowerShell, I swear. So, so the thing here is like now with that, I have Civo, but now I have a region already. So it means that I did something that here we will see afterwards, which is the authentication. So just to resume, ClickOps will be like, I go to the docs. So that's the standard way, right? So I go to the docs, I check, I go to GitHub, I download manually my file, my Civo binary, and then I start running it. That's your ClickOps way. Then the CLI way, the context on CLI is that you will use normally a package manager. So they went a little bit like the broad way. So as you can see, my friend here, Chad, that will be signing also books, he has a Mac. Okay, that's the perfect example. Thank you. I could not ask for a better example. He has a Mac, as all Civo has a Mac. So they went to brew. Now, gladly, there's homebrew, Linux brew, so you can have it also on Linux if you want. So there's an easy way also to have Civo CLI directly from a package manager that is more universal. Then finally, the non-intrusive, and I put the comments, okay? By the way, this talk was changed 2 days ago. So they decided to do something else. We will share with Engin GitHub repo. The slides will be there. The comments will be there. The files will be there. Everything will be there, okay? It will come afterwards, maybe when the recording goes out also, if that's okay, right? Cool. So we did it. So we have the CLI. Either way, it was CLI ops or ClickOps, all right? So now we need authentication. So again, like I said, we are a Civo Navigate. We will see the Civo way, but think about anything else. Azure, Amazon, Google, DigitalOcean, whatever. You need to authentify yourself because otherwise anyone else can come and use your resources. And it means like use your credit card at the end of the day. So we do have at Civo, they made it quite easy, is that you can use now the tool to authenticate yourself directly with the API key that is provided within your account. You do this command here. I have already done it for the API key, not showing my API key. I love you, but I don't want you to to have my resources. And the thing is like you do Civo API key save and you go to 2 questions. What is the API key name? So it's just the reference actually. And then what is the API key that you have? The API key, you can find it in Civo. Sorry, oh, here we go. If you go to settings, you go to profile, and then here in security, you will, it's hidden, but I will let you discover also. So that's the goal also a little bit of a workshop is for you to discover things, okay? So the goal is like, if you go to your Civo profile, once you have an account, you go to security, and here you will have an API key by default, okay? This API key will allow you directly from now, from the CLI to have your Civo application or binary being contacting your Civo endpoint, okay? And now you will see something. I did the region already because that was important. So let me clear it and redo it so we just have this information on screen. Here are the endpoints. Civo, again, when Mark was saying this morning, they remove complexity, they mean it. Now, the endpoints, hopefully for them, it will grow over time. When you look at AWS, for example, I don't use it that much, or Azure, because, okay, Microsoft guy. So if you look at it, like if I have to choose an endpoint, I'm in Switzerland, right? I sometimes don't even know like which one is the best. Is it Zurich? Is it Geneva? Is it Central for whatever reason? Is the France or Frankfurt best? I don't know. Okay. So your endpoints mean that you are targeting something that might have some delay. So that's important when you start, independent of the cloud here, but when you start doing some, even ClickOps, I would say, you need to understand that you might have some latency if you don't choose the right place. Now, specific to Civo, if you don't choose the right region, for example, we will create some stuff in New York, but then I will swap into the dashboard and I will be somewhere else. in Phoenix or London, for that matter, I won't be able to see my resources. So that's important for the time being. I don't know if it's something that will consolidate in the future or not, but for now, be careful that suddenly when you see like your credits go on, that, okay, but I don't have any resources. No, you don't have any resources on that region. You might have forgotten something in another region. So be really mindful of that, okay? So here we are going to target not Phoenix. There's some maintenance going on. So we will target New York. That's the least latency compared to Frankfurt or London, of course. Okay, so, oops, if I go back here, slideshow, no. Here we go. Once you have saved your file, your API key, and you can connect to Civo, then we will be able to do actually a region change and just ensure that we are targeting the region that we want. Okay? Questions so far? I mean, that's pretty easy, right? That's the normal stuff. For other clouds, you might have the same exactly procedure, so that's okay. So now we will stop a little bit more here, and that's the part where we will actually deep dive, or I will deep dive. I will go to the dashboard. We will create a cluster together. We'll just explain 2 or 3 things, and then we will do the same with the CLI. Okay? So now, finally, there's the hands-on. Nuno, you promised us hands-on. Where are they? So let's start here. So like I said, here I'm in New York. Can I? Yeah, I can. So here it's New York. I choose my endpoints and I go now to my Kubernetes. Oh, it unzooms every time. Staff, do something. So here what we will do is like we will create a new cluster. Okay. And I have already one created and we will see why. Okay. So all right, is it too small? Because every time it's like zooming, unzooming. So is that okay? All right. So when you do ClickOps, so the first time that you arrive into a page, who starts filling up forms directly? That's a question, sorry. Who starts directly filling, like going by order and I'm filling that? Or are you, okay. Or are you more likely scrolling through the page to see the information that you need? Okay, no hands, but I see nodding, so that's cool. So when you are in a ClickOps world, that's the discovery phase. So that's why when we say like ClickOps is not a bad thing, is that when you don't know, well, you cannot guess, right? So you need to have a reference to something. And that will be now the storyline up until actually infrastructure as code. Knowledge. Knowledge about the cloud provider that you are using, about the settings or values that you can use, okay? You cannot guess them. There's docs, potentially, so you go to the docs, or if you're like me, you go directly here, but I don't go step by step. I actually like to, okay, so there's names, there's node counts, there's sizes, a lot, a bit complicated, and that's more for the staff stuff. And then there's networking, firewall, and so on. Okay, so if we come back, then I will start with a navigate, and I will call it the demo. I will keep the nodes like that. And who has, who has other clouds? I don't care what is it, but other cloud accounts. Who are using cloud? Okay. So who uses provisioned Kubernetes, like these ones? Okay. So nodes are workers. You don't count control planes for the ones who know Kubernetes. Okay. So the control planes are behind the scenes and you don't have access to them. You just know or op, but that's the case here. You just know that they are in high availability mode, so there are at least 3 control planes for your cluster. And here, independent of how many nodes I add, it will always be the worker nodes. So the nodes that will actually run your applications on. Okay? Then I have sizes for... oh, I don't have any more quota. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. It's good to know people of the staff. We have bigger quotas suddenly. Thanks a lot. Okay, so here, let me again do the navigate, sorry. No, navigate demo. That will be the and now I'm just picking up like standards and medium sizes nodes. Okay, these should be quite enough to run most of my applications. And of course, if you are plus into AI/ML, then there's the GPU nodes now. Okay, these 2 last here. I won't go there, but just in case, Civo now provides that. And Mark, okay, again, sorry, who was here during the keynote this morning? Okay, predictability of cost, right? That was one of his main points. Look here. I do know at the and that's important, at the creation time, this cluster will cost me that. How cool is that? Can you do the same with Azure, with AWS, with whomever? You can predict, but you don't know the price. Here, the price is provided to you forefront, okay? No, at the creation time. That's important. And that's really a good question. So the question was like, but will it change? No. It will change. Like independent of if you had volumes, if you had IPs, if you had ingresses, whatever, okay? So it might change. If you add another node, it will change, of course. But the goal of Civo from the very beginning was to have at least an idea of how much it will cost you at any time. So if you add a new node, it potentially will tell you, okay, this new node might cost you more per month, okay? Actually tell you, like one node is 20 per month. So if I add a fourth one, right, afterwards, let's say I want to add a new node, then it will tell me, okay, it's adding 80, now it's $80, okay? All right. Network, as you can tell, there's no networking really options. Then firewall, by default, it will create a new one. I think it's all ports open. I like just to reuse, so I don't have like a list of firewalls suddenly like created like crazy. So I'll just use the default. It has all ports open. Okay. Now the cool part is like there's advanced options. So again, it keeps it really small, but that's really important because you have choices. You can go a little bit more, let's say, in different options afterwards. But by default, here is the options that you have. Let's actually, they should reverse it, but you have the cluster type, K3S, the standard default, what was Civo created upon us, and created by XRancher, now SUSE, but it's a CNCF project, so it's a Kubernetes certified by CNCF distribution. One of the, actually with Kubernetes, that's the only one. They are certified. The others are approved by CNCF, but K3S belongs to CNCF, okay? And then there's Talos Linux. Talos is kind of like a paradigm shift. If you are really, is there Sideros here? No. Sideros came also? Sideros, or I don't know how you spell it, but Talos guys, they are here, right? Okay. So if you find them, try to talk with them because it's a really interesting way of of new Kubernetes mixed with the OS that you don't have access to the OS at all. You don't even SSH. It's like a Kubernetes OS if you want, but it's like a stack, and you just how do you say? You just manage your Kubernetes cluster only through or your node even through Kubernetes. So that's really a paradigm shift. It's really interesting. I'll recommend you to at least give it a try at once, but other else, choose K3s. It's the best. Then here you have the versions, an older version, current version, and the latest version if you want. So we will pick the latest one here. And finally, one thing that Civo created by default, and now it's getting a bit bigger, which is good, is that you have a marketplace. So it's an application marketplace. It's not as big as the others. I know like Azure has, you can even lose yourself there. But the thing is like here, it's applications that have been tested explicitly for Civo. Okay, so you know these applications here, once you install them, let's say 99% of the time should work. Okay, so what I will do is I will take another application, totally random, nothing to do with my work, right? It's Rancher, and then I will click Create Cluster. Once you've done all that, you choose, so that's the ClickOps. So, okay, I talked a lot, but if you go through a ClickOps the fastest you can, this will still take you 30 seconds, 1 minute independent. Do you have a lag with the dashboard or not, and so on, okay? Did you make an error? Did you forget to put a name, so you have to come back, and so on. So the next phase, so while this one is building, so the next phase would be to have, let me show you the slide first. Would be like everything that I showed you can be resumed to that, actually. That's exactly, except for the version, but that's exactly what I just done. Clicking. Through the CLI, I can choose my nodes, I can choose my sizes. And again, remember what I said before about the knowledge, the discovery part. You cannot know the size names. The same goes for the other clouds, right? When you are choosing your sizes, you don't know. You need to actually discover it through documentation or something. So that's important. The ClickOps sometimes can really bring you this knowledge, all right? And then, okay, create the firewall, that's an option. Then we add the 6443, which is the Kubernetes API endpoint, so we open it. And then finally, we choose the region. And here, I also tell like, okay, you know what? Also install Rancher by default while I'm creating my cluster. So I don't have to create cluster, wait it's created, and now start installing my applications. No, I already know that I want Rancher here, okay? And then the wait, save, merge, switch is, okay, wait is waiting that it finished, but then the save, it will automatically save the kubeconfig file, merge it with your .kube/config file inside your computer, and finally, it will actually switch the context of Kubernetes. Okay, so that's commands that were provided by that. I think others might have it too, but that's quite nice. So with this command here, now, sorry, I told you that I won't go back to PowerShell, but I will, because I will write, okay, so just for knowledge why. You see the backticks at the end? They're the separators in PowerShell. That's the backslash in Bash. So because I already wrote this one, I don't want to go back and forth with the backslashes. Sorry for that. I lied. Okay, so Civo Kubernetes, create the CLI, the nodes, the medium, the type, the firewall. I just will change here Phoenix into New York. Okay, and then the application rancher, wait, save, merge, switch. Let's go. All right. So now this here, you can kind of automate it. You can put it on a script, for example, right? On a bash script. So every time that you need to create something, you will go try to find your bash script somewhere. You will run this exact command, update it. So potentially you need another node or something like that. Okay. But that's, what was the term? I think it's like more orchestrated than ClickOps, but that's not automation still. Okay. So here we go. So it's creating. So let's go back here. This one has been created. So I do have my nodes. I do have almost everything. Okay. And if I go now to install applications, I can see that everything has been installed. So like I said, the talk was done like 2 days ago. And since then we have been trying to see which application we wanted to put. So here we put Rancher. I will try to get Rancher to be displayed. I had some issues before. It's not me, but we will see. If we cannot, tough luck. If we can, good. But I'm quite sure the Pulumi talk will have it. So here in the applications installed, the good point is that we do have, okay, my time is almost up because Engin needs to talk. So here, we have the admin password. That's for the dashboards afterwards. But then I do have the cluster ID here. So let's try to see if this time it's working. So I'll remove that one here and add the new one. Press enter. Okay. It's still deploying behind the scenes. Okay. So that's something sometimes that's, again, I like to talk about context, but with ClickOps, the thing is like here, you cannot tell that something is still being deployed, right? But if we look, not this one. Okay. I cannot show, but if you would like download the kubeconfig file and do some kubectl get pods, you will see that Rancher now it's still being actually deployed. So you don't see the truth, the total truth, let's say, of your application being deployed. Okay, and that's something that we will see afterwards with infrastructure as code, that you can actually prevent that. So here is like, oh, hey, my application has been deployed. Well, yes, the cluster has been deployed. The applications have been, let's say, sent to your cluster to be deployed, but they're in the backend somehow they are still being deployed. Okay. A last refresh just for the sake of doing it, but yeah, I doubt. Okay. And as you can see here, however, now my CLI is done. So let me actually show you this one here. If I go to Kubernetes and I have my navigate CLI that is here, okay? And what I was saying is like pods, yeah, perfect. So now Civo is okay, and yeah, okay. So now you see that actually, like I said, from the CLI also, from the CLI everything seems like okay, but Rancher is still, your application, in this case is Rancher, but your application might still need to be actually being deployed to the cluster. So be really careful about that, okay? It doesn't mean that as soon as the CLI or ClickOps came back to you saying like, oh, green card, it's all is good, it might not be the case, okay? So I'll just move a bit faster now. Sorry, Engin. And, okay. The last step would be, I will let now Engin actually go for his demo, but the last step will be like, don't forget to clean behind you. There's so many people, like even developers, let's say, that create clusters somewhere. And it was funny because yesterday I was with my colleague Rob, and my director sent me a message. 8 p.m. He's from Vancouver, so it was 6 p.m. for him, but it's like, oh, hey, Nuno, hi, how are you? Are you the one that is running like this cluster in the AWS Australia region because it's costing us a lot. And I'm like, well, no, not me. Sorry. But the point is like, if you have a bigger company, you might face that. So, and I'm quite sure it happened already to some of you, like a bill by end of the month and is like, oh, wait, what? Why is 1,000 and not hundreds? I don't get it. So the very end, ClickOps on Civo will be that I will click the small button here, okay? And that will delete it. And on Civo, it will be the same command. Okay, let me take that out. Actually, I can come here, sorry. So I could do Civo Kate and then delete and the name of my cluster, okay? Last word, Civo CLI uses the noun verb and not verb noun like kind. You say kind, blah, 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 create, right? And here is more like Civo create something, okay? Questions for the ClickOps CLI? Okay. How many nodes, the first one to raise their hand, wins a chocolate? How many nodes did I use for the CLI? 3. Okay, you won. Thank you. I'll take out my computer.
So, Nuno prepared the stage CLI approach. That's everything is cool on this one. So let's pick up on here and talk a little bit about infrastructure as code. So let me, where is this slideshow? Play from start. Okay. So, question, what is infrastructure as code? So going back here, just a second. There is an issue with my slideshow because it has timings in. Okay. So, who of you use infrastructure as code? That would be a good question. So, oh, okay. What are you using? Mostly Terraform. Terraform. Okay, I'm in a... That's tough. Because as you can see, I'm from Pulumi, but it will be still interesting. So let me talk a little bit about infrastructure as code. I will go quickly through this for everybody who's not using infrastructure as code to say, okay, what are we trying to achieve here? So we saw a little bit with Nuno, yes, everything can start here with an approach where a single person works on his computer. Some people call it ClickOps, or it has a notation, yeah, ClickOps, go through the CLI or the UI and generates a resource. So in this case, that's not, I know we are in Texas, it's not an oil barrel, it's actually a database. And the other one is a Kubernetes cluster. So I start, I work, everything is completely fine. This is an approach which is valid and everybody is doing this. If anybody told me that he's not using the console or anything, I'm 100% sure that's a lie because everybody does it. Even we at Pulumi go on the console and check stuff there. So, but now we come to the situation when we want to try to scale out the stuff. So our approach, I'm the person, I worked on this, I managed now inside the company to talk people into it, to say, hey, that's the way we're going to approach. So now other teams, other persons start to work on this and they create now also the resources for them. So we see the first problem here, is this really scaling well? And now we add an additional layer to it. You're not start to provision one Kubernetes and one database. You need to start to provision also different stages. So you say, I have a productive environment, I have a dev environment, and so on and so on. So we come in a situation where we say, that's something which costs too much effort. Yes, you can come up with some interesting bash scripts to try to build around this, because you find out using the UI generates mostly errors or is not the same result. And even if you give people access to the console and you tell them provision a Kubernetes cluster and a database, every team will create slightly their own touch into it, because everybody maybe did not know to activate this special setting and so on. So we get a diverse infrastructure which may not go align with the compliance and security guidelines and best practices. And I was a developer before. If I have full access to this, I will get a huge worker node, because hey, why not? Having 27 CPUs and whatever RAM, that's always good. So here we can introduce now the system of infrastructure as code. As you can see, there is Pulumi as an icon, but people who are using Terraform know you can also achieve this with other tools in the same space, so that's not a problem. The idea is then to say, okay, let's cut the direct connection of the people to the console, for example. They declare now their state, see it something like making pizza. So I can make a pizza, buying all the ingredients, and then I start to make the pizza. Or I can order it at Uber Eats. I see, okay, I want a margarita pizza. I don't care how it's going to proceed. I just declared I want a pizza margarita. I get this. And this is a similar approach. I declare now how the infrastructure has to look like. I want a Kubernetes cluster. I put it into my code base. The system, whatever tool I'm using, taking care of it and generates everything. And the good part is now also most of the tools in the space have also the advantage. They save a state file, and now I can reconcile against this and compare. So if somebody still finds its way through the console and change anything, I may have a drift detection and detect, okay, there's something changed, and then I can alert the people or force it back to the initial state. So it's a very cool approach to work on, independent of the tool. So again, quickly go through. We have the manual approach. So this is ClickOps through wikis, playbooks, and so on. And now comes a thing that's what I had in my company. This guy. This one guy you all know about, and they say, hey, go to him. He knows how to create this. And then you contact them. And this is something, it works. It's on the first level on this, but we should continue. So the next part is then the imperative way to say, okay, we create Bash, Python, Puppet scripts or Ansible. Some of them even manage to handle the idempotent situation. So you can keep on calling the same script and there is no changes in this one. And the peak is then to say, okay, let's go declarative, and here in the space we have Pulumi, we have OpenTofu, we have Crossplane, and all the things where you can declare your pizza and get it delivered as you wished most of the times. Everybody who knows this kind of tools know that sometimes it's not as you expected. Okay, so quickly, benefits, cost reduction, increase in speed of deployment, reduce errors. This is very, very important. We have a consistent infrastructure. We eliminate any configuration drifts. I mean, as much as possible. I want you that you keep this list in mind. So sorry that I speed a little bit because I want to go to the example code. But keep this list in mind because now I want to talk quickly about Pulumi. And then I will revise the list again to say, okay, where is some benefit to use, for example, Pulumi as a tool. Pulumi, we are completely open source. Our approach is here to say, okay, let's let people use a generic programming language, maybe a language they already use for their own, for the business application, for example, and continue on this. So reduce any cognitive overload. No need to shell out into a specific DSL, for example. So just work in the programming language you feel comfortable with. There's a whole bunch of supported one. We even have YAML. So this is also something many persons start with when they cannot decide on a programming language, or maybe don't want to decide and just want to get access to the ecosystem. They can even use YAML. And as you can guess, because using a generic programming language, you don't need to introduce any additional new tools. You can just continue to leverage your existing CI/CD pipeline, your existing value chain. No need. You can still run ZonaCube on it. You can use your CI system of your choice. You can use your package manager of your choice. If you want to share a library, think about you created the perfect Civo Kubernetes deployment with everything set up. So now your colleagues say, hey, can you share this with me? Yeah, no problem. I will create an NPM package out of it and then share it via Artifactory, and people can just include it. And now we come into the thing to say, yes, I start to treat my infrastructure as a product. For example, I can release specific versions. I can create release notes, and people can just npm install the latest version of my perfect Civo cluster installation, and just work around this and say, okay, I have the cluster, now I deploy additional Helm charts on it. Okay, that's it. Watching the slide, high level view, let me go to the last point. That's maybe the interesting point. So Pulumi offers everything. You can create different stacks or environments where you can override specific values. You can stick together the different resources, our Lego blocks, as we spoke, and say, okay, I have the Civo firewall, I have the Civo Kubernetes, and now I use the output of the firewall, for example, the ID, as an input to my Kubernetes resource. We will see this later in the code. And just create like this, the whole declaration. Pulumi is taking care in the background to create a graph of it and run things you can run in parallel, because there's no dependency to any other resource, and things which have a dependency get rendered or get executed step by step. So that's also very interesting. And yes, of course, there's also an advanced topic here. You can use inputs and outputs on a program level. Now you say, how can I use this? Think about you are part of the database team. You're using Backstage or Port, for example, to expose your service to the people inside the company. So me as a developer, I can come now, I can order now a database, and as you can guess, as an input, I can throw in maybe some t-shirt sizes. I want a large or small database, and as the output, I will get then the URL, the password, and so on. You can even use inside Pulumi the so-called stack references, where you can access this one inside your code. Also very cool approach to create a separation of concern or create microstacks. So I told you, keep in mind the list. So what are some benefits now to use Pulumi as your infrastructure as code is, of course, I put it a little bit bold, cost reduction. Yes, of course, I don't need to learn anything new. I don't need to teach people. I still need to teach people about the cloud. That's something clear. So take out the learning about the cloud out of the equation. I can say, okay, for a developer or for persons who are already using Python, using the Pulumi SDK is just a new library. I get the squiggly lines if I put something wrong. I have the type safety. I know, okay, this is now a string, this is now a number, and so on. So cost reduction, speed of development. It's here, yes, I don't need to learn any new language, for example, so this is also fine. Reduce error, yes, everybody is abusing the word shift left, but this is really shift left, because you get during the creation of your declaration file the squiggly lines, and you can run also unit tests on the code. It's just code, so that's the thing. Okay, now the big question is how do we earn our money, because somehow there must be something behind this. As again, there's a Pulumi cloud offering. I will not go into details of this, but there are some added values you will get when you use the Pulumi cloud. For an individual user, there's no cost. So if you want to start and say, I don't want to put my state files into an S3 bucket, or I don't want to put them into my local file, you can use the Pulumi cloud. It's completely free. And everything else is then the enterprise and upgraded tier. So feel free to discover this on your own. let's go to the action part. What is the architecture we're going to do now? This is completely what Nuno showed here. So I will use TypeScript to generate a Kubernetes cluster, a Civo Kubernetes cluster, and I will access the Civo marketplace to install the cert manager, traffic rancher, and the metrics server. And in the end, we should have access via the traffic load balancer to rancher. Okay, so let me close this. I created here the gist with every step you need to do. Let me scroll this up. So we just go and try the code. What you need, of course, is the Pulumi CLI installed. In my case, you need a node runtime and a Civo token. So, creating the folder. Oh, that's a little bit stupid. So, and now I'm inside my folder. There's the concept of templates. So for Civo, there's already templates existing. So I will build up on this one. So Pulumi new, creating a new project. This is the name of the template. If I don't have a template, I can start on a blank canvas also. But here I just use the existing Civo template, creating a name and the output folder. That's cool. So let me put this here and increase the font size. Okay, so now having this. I already created, of course, the project, so we say use it. Then it will ask me any additional informations. I can just skip this. Here we come to the state, to the stacks, the environments, and let's call this Austin, the environment. And then I have to enter my Pulumi key. Just a second. Okay, and now it's going to download the npm package. Okay, fine. And now let's open the code. So as you can see, as I use the template, everything is already ready for me. Yeah, it doesn't view. Let's go to the appearance. Where is this presentation mode? Where is it? Open. No. Edit layout, appearance. There should be a presentation mode. Oh yeah. Ah. So everything's set up. As we can see on the bottom line, we import the Pulumi SDK, we import the Civo SDK. The code describes here the firewall and the Kubernetes cluster. But I will paste now the code for the demo. So what did I change here? I changed the region. That's all. And I also export the kube config because I would like to access maybe later with K9S or with another tool. I would like to access my Kubernetes cluster. And here we can see I put additional applications in, and that's it. now you can start to say, okay, this is a template where some of the things are hard-coded. Yes, you could take out, for example, the region and put it as a configuration value and then override this depending on your environment. This is all up to your wish. And also the size or node count, you can get everything out and then create really a vanilla template and use Pulumi then to say, hey, I created a template and let's use Pulumi new with the URL to the Git repository and people can reuse this. And as you saw, the wizard will then extend it with the new questions like what size do you want? What node count do you want? So you can create this in a similar story for bootstrapping. And okay, New York City one. Okay. So let me change. Now I can call the Pulumi app. The Pulumi app code will give me first a preview of what is going to change. In my case, nothing is created, so everything has the state create. I will see what potential outputs I will get. Some of the outputs are still with a placeholder because we don't know the value. Some of the things is already printed out. So in my case, kubeconfig will be decided. And now let's see if it's working. We say yes. And it's going to create now the firewall. Yes, the firewall is created and hopefully the cluster with Civo's promise of around 100 seconds or plus minus 2 minutes, it should be also available. And then we can have a look with K9S into it and see if it's working. Yeah, Nuno, you can show the Rancher URI. Okay, while this is uploading, let's see if we forgot anything. Pulumi app. Yes, we did now the Pulumi app. You can also split the commands, only see Pulumi preview when you do a pull request, for example. Give the person who do the review as much as information as possible. You can see some inversive actions. For example, sometimes some resources, if you change anything, they want to recreate this. So maybe it's useful here to go for a blue-green deployment rather than destroying everything and having a downtime, for example, but this depends again on your customers and the promised SLA you have, what kind of deployment strategy you would like to run. So let's see. Okay, this one is done. As you can see, it's created in 59 seconds. And let's get out the kubeconfig. So with Pulumi stack output and show secret, I can now get the kubeconfig. So I save it here. Now using K9S to see if everything is up and running. Hopefully, yes. Is the cluster up and running? Takes some seconds here to connect. Maybe the latency. Yeah. Okay, just don't mind then maybe it's the latency because you say it's up. Let me show how to create an additional stack. I'm with Wi-Fi, maybe that's the...
That doesn't work. It's the 6443 is blocked.
Okay, that's good.
So that's why. Nothing to do with the cluster or anything. It's
okay.
The Wi-Fi of the university is blocking the Kubernetes endpoint API ports.
Okay, that's good. Good to know. Okay, let me show how to create a new stack. So now we are happy with everything. We say, okay, let's create our productive environment. So here I just called Pulumi stack init prod. And it will create an additional file for us. But now I need to select the stack because I want to deploy now the prod cluster. And now, as you can see, he makes a preview on the prod environment. Yes, the token is not set, so I should now set the token. But this is the way how you would now set up a new stack. And let's housekeep everything with destroying. So first, Pulumi stack ls shows all the available stacks. As you can see, dev and prod. Prod I just created now. I did not do any updates. If I may want to see, that's maybe something important, the Pulumi cloud offering, as I said, that's free. I can click here now and I have also the opportunity to see the different stacks. I know that we have the Austin stack I just created. I can see additional informations here, and the most important part, I see the resources which are created. I have some auditing mechanism, who did what, when did the change comes in. I see here the update, and let's destroy everything. Or do you have the URL of the Ranger for me? Can you send me the URL of Rancher so I can quickly show that Rancher is deployed? I think it was cluster ID or something. Okay, I continue. I changed the stack. Now calling Pulumi destroy. It will tell me, hey, you're going to destroy everything. Are you sure? I say, oh no, def, it's not. So, selecting the right stack, it was Austin. Now I see all the resources which are involved into this. So it's going to delete the Kubernetes cluster and then the firewall, of course, also in the order of the need. So you cannot delete the firewall before deleting the Kubernetes cluster. Pulumi engine takes care of the right order. And then I can say yes. And normally everything should be deleted. And where is our description? So we are here. We created a new stack and now we destroyed the stack. Pulumi destroy should be running. And now the environment is completely deleted, and I could say, okay, now also delete any traces of this. Pulumi stack remove Austin. Please confirm. And voila, it's gone. So we did infrastructure as code with Pulumi in no time. Let's see if I have any things. Yeah, questions now. No questions? That's good. That means everybody. Yeah, feel.
Since you can really use any of those languages, you'd have a benefit of being able to use native like looping technology or if statements versus something like Terraform that doesn't have that native ability. Is that correct?
Yes, you have full access to the benefits of the specific language. So when there's a particular way to create abstractions, classes, whatever, you can use them if you want to use them. But then we have, again, keep it stupid and simple still applies. If you write bad code, you have a technical debt also in this one, so keep it simple. Thanks. Any other questions? Feel free. Otherwise, I say thank you. Thank you, Nuno, for... Huh? Ah, yeah, yes. We have Austin Pulumi user group. It's going to be tomorrow night. Let's see if I have the slides. So a little bit... where is our Pulumi user group? That's the... Here. No, that's not the one. Meetup. Austin. book. I don't find this now. That's of course. Yeah, it's here. So. Yeah, it's on the 22 at 6 p.m. somewhere in Lydia Street. Feel free to join if you are here and want to find out more and talk with awesome people who use Pulumi. That's it. That's enough of the plug. And thanks.